Hi everyone, Dr. Jennifer Champion here. So in the last video, you got the pleasure of meeting my son, who's 9 years old. But you know what, I wanted to double back because I mentioned earlier that I had been diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome. And a lot of women, about 18 to 20% of women now, are being diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome. So what is that? Basically, it's the development of cysts on the ovaries. That's the original definition. However, what we're finding is, though, that's not always the case anymore. We're seeing a syndrome or a grouping of symptoms that are presenting together. Things like out of balance blood sugar, out of balance sex hormones, out of balance thyroid hormones, out of balance adrenal hormones. All of these things are coming together and they're forming what we're calling polycystic ovary syndrome. So let's take a quick check with you. Have you been diagnosed with high blood pressure? Have you been diagnosed with high cholesterol? Have you been diagnosed with out of balance blood sugar or sex hormones or thyroid hormones or adrenal hormones? Are you noticing hair in places that it probably shouldn't be? So these can all be signs or symptoms of a greater imbalance that could potentially leave a woman completely infertile. So when I was in my early 20s is when I received the diagnosis of polycystic ovary syndrome, and I was told, oh my goodness, you will never have children, ever. You don't have to worry about, birth control or anything like that. And I thought, oh, score, I don't have to worry about that. In my infinite wisdom of my early 20s, which I now know better. But what happened was at age 28, I said, enough. I looked in that mirror and I said, enough. There has to be a way to deal with polycystic ovary syndrome from a very natural, gentle way. What foods do I need to consume to nourish my body, to give it what it needs so that it can heal? Because as I learned and I come to believe, everything that we put in our mouths will create a direct result on our health. So I started this path of what do I need to eat? What do I need to do? How do I need to move? And at 350 pounds, movement was not easy. So I decided, okay, let's start with nutrition. What do I need to change? So the first thing I did was I ditched sugar. Got to get that out of there. I knew I had blood sugar regulation issues. I knew I had high cholesterol. And so I ditched that. So you can remove the sugar from your diet, and that's a great place to get started. That also includes artificial sweeteners, sucralose, which is also known as Splenda, aspartame, acesulfame potassium, which is pretty potent. It's like all of the other sweeteners combined, saccharin. So the list goes on and on because they keep creating new ones. But removing sugars and removing artificial sweeteners from your diet is a great place to go. Why the artificial sweeteners? You're like, oh, the body doesn't have any impact. Well, actually it does. It fools the brain into thinking, hey, I'm eating something sweet and this is so good. I want more. So then we consume more and more and more. And eventually our brain says, whoa, I want the real thing. What are you doing? And so then we turn to craving carbohydrates, sugars, breads, pastas, brownies, cakes, cookies, all of those things. So just by ditching sugars and eliminating the artificial sweeteners, I was able to start the journey. The rest of the journey, I developed and created a 4-step plan that helps to address each of the areas, each of the components that will lead to an optimal health, or at least an even healthier state, depending on how far you want to go. So 4 components, which is also called my Core 4 Integrative Analysis. So if you're interested in finding out if you might be a candidate for it, let's talk. There's a link down below in the comments section. I'd love for you to click on that. Set up your 10-minute free consultation. The first 10 minutes are free on me, right? So what do you have to lose? So reach out. Let's start talking. Let's start this conversation on what you need to get you healthy. Looking forward to working with you, and thank you so much for taking some time with me today. Have a healthy day.